Hi, I'm Captain Gregg.
Ahoy hoy, I'm Captain Boomies, and we are on the Solaris Power 40 outboard.
This is a beautiful yacht designed and built in Italy. Let's have a look.
Most Americans are unfamiliar with the brand Solaris, but in Europe the name stands for exquisite quality and premium yachts. Founded in 1974 near Venice, the company is celebrating its 50th anniversary. During its first 3 decades, it built sailboats from 36 to 111 feet which travel the world. In 2008, Solaris began building power boats, and right from the start they were said by many to be the most beautiful dayboats on the water. Now it builds 9 power boats from 40 to 60 feet, and it won't be long until a new 70-footer is launched. Because of the builder's experience building sailboats for the aristocracy of Europe, who expect every detail to be done to perfection, it's little wonder that the Solaris powerboats are a work of art. As we go through the boat, pay special attention to the details of the fiberglass moldings, the rounded corners, the perfect fit and finish. All the cockpit doors are perfectly aligned. The remarkable metallic painted surfaces and the stainless fixtures, all first class. It's pretty clear to me that the culture of Solaris from management to the shop floor is perfection at any cost.
There are so many things in terms of aesthetics that really appeal to my eye. One of the unique things is the combination of hard lines and corners right next to subtle curves. Here we have the gunnel, which has a hard corner on it right next to this very subtle curve on the interior. The two look really nice together. I'm also really impressed with the paint. You can tell there's a lot of material here, many coats of paint that have been finely finished. This color is a light gray metallic. It really works for me.
But there are 5 other colors to choose from, and each one makes this boat a head turner.
Solaris Power has so many fine details that I really appreciate. For example, the deck is synthetic. It's called S-Tech is the manufacturer. They've carried that look up to the top of the gunnel. They also have these small receptacles for pins that you can put on your fenders. Preset, push the button, they lock right in. Push the button again, they come out. Up in the bow, there's even a storage bar that has these pin receptacles for easy storage of fenders in the bow locker.
Centerline is the support for our hardtop, which is all carbon fiber. And it means that you have totally uninterrupted views around because it's not being interrupted by a bunch of supports. Frankly, it's more of a T-top than most. Integrated into this hardtop are these speakers, which is part of an upgraded sound system that really gets booming, and it's part of a 4-zone system. Just behind the helm seats is this cabinet, which includes a double sink, an ice maker on this one, storage for your garbage, additional storage, a nice sized refrigerator, and this one has a grill. What are we having for lunch? And each of these cabinets is fully finished on the inside, which I like, and even has these soft rubber stops on them to make for a nice close and no rattle noises. Moving aft, we have this settee here that has additional refrigeration underneath as an option. This flips over, and now we have access to this table.
It's a beautiful teak table that matches the synthetic teak decking. These open up, and there's metal underneath for the wings to sit on. The seating is very flexible. By moving this seat back, you can either have 3 or 4 forward-facing seats, or in the dining configuration, you're facing the table. Similarly, as we come back to the same size bench seat here, you can have 3 or 4 people facing forward, or flip this over, and now you've got access to a large Sunpad.
I like that the Sunpad has cup holders. The Sunpad is 77 inches wide by 73 inches long. Plus, this diamond pattern is integrated into it. It's not a diamond stitch, it's actually built into the vinyl.
Under the Sunpad is a garage operated by these 2 buttons inside the gunnel on the port side. The aft garage measures 65 inches wide on average and 36 inches long, and is 14 inches deep. Plenty of room for all kinds of storage, including lines and fenders. You'll see here there's carbon fiber poles stored. On this boat, that's for a sail that covers the stern. It's also an option to have something that covers the bow. And there's a hatch with access to the fuel tank.
Over here on the starboard side, well, on both sides, are these stainless steel gates, really nicely made. Behind this door is our shore power connection and our waste removal cap. Under here is a shower with hot and cold. And this is our Passerelle control. I love it because with just a button, it comes out and I can move it up, or I can move it down and it becomes a swim ladder.
The deck all the way up to the helm station is one level. It makes it really pleasant to walk around in the different spaces. There's also plenty of room. Every one of the walkways measures a minimum of 16 inches, and that opens up to 21 inches next to the cabin. Moving to the bow requires one step up, where the S-Tech synthetic teak continues.
Both overhead and all along the deck from bow to stern are courtesy lights, little LEDs that sparkle.
Here's a forward Sunpad that measures 75 inches across at maximum and 68 inches long, plus an addition of this curved area at the very bottom.
The bow slopes down on this pad, and it actually makes me feel a little more stable while I'm up here, and that's a surprise because I've never been on a boat where the bow pad did that.
Forward is an anchor locker. The bow roller for the chain actually extends out. It's got two hydraulic pistons, and when you go to drop the anchor, that complete unit slides out that keeps the anchor away from the bow on this. That's a great idea. Saves your paint. Construction elements on this boat are also very sturdy. Here we've got strong stainless steel cleats that pop up with the engraved Solaris Power brand name on them. Here we are at the helm of the Solaris Power 40 outboard. Captain Boomies, what do you think?
I think it's an attractive helm. And I like the positioning of where all of my important things are.
Me as well. Got twin Garmin MFDs, they're 12-inch. Right in the center, we've got the Mercury information panel for the Mercury 450Rs. I like that you've got a compass that's on center line. Right below that, you have the quick anchor with a chain counter on it. Got the Mercury DTS digital throttle control system that includes the joystick. It's got the skyhook. I like the skyhook a lot. That keeps you exactly in the same GPS position. And there's also a bow thruster. Now this isn't integrated into the system, but this is here as a backup in case you want to not use the joystick. The helm wheel, with the push of a button, can either raise or lower depending on whether you're in a seated or a standing position. Another thing I really like about this is it's got this longer space for your feet that covers not only the center helm, but also the starboard helm seat. When you're in a seated position on this, you've got a perfect line of sight over the top of the bow. Even with a little bit of rise in the bow, it's really, really the right height to see over.
I like that they've given me a lot of room between your seat and my seat, and it includes cup holders.
Cup holders are always important. I find this to be a very elegant solution for a place to put your phone. And there's two different receptacles here, each with the older style USB as well as the newer USB-C ports.
Captain Gregg, come take the helm so I can show them below. For a 40-foot boat, I would have expected it to just be a day boat, but there's sleeping accommodations for 4 people down here. The main berth is 60 inches by 78 inches long and has 40 inches of overhead clearance. On the starboard side is a small closet that could fit some stuff, a weekend's worth of stuff. And then when I hop down, the full overhead height is 6'5". And here we have our head. When I come into the head, the first thing I notice is that I have to access the head by opening the shower door. I like this shower door because it's a bisected door that takes up less space. Oh, but it also can swing in completely. That's nice. To conserve space, they have combined the head with the shower. And to make it feel a little less like you're next to the toilet though, they have this nice fold down seat so that you can shower with a little more classiness. And a port light. On the port side, you've got a little bit of room for storage, which is nice for keeping your documentation dry and inside. Fusion radio, outlets, control for your air conditioning. One of the things that's a little disorienting on this boat is that the port lights don't look out at the water. They are kind of looking at the gunnel along the bow. This aft berth reminds me of a sailboat, which makes sense when you consider Solaris's background. The way they have styled these berths and the way they've done their storage on the sides, and especially how they've created more headroom with this cutout. Each of these berths are 32 inches wide by 72 inches long. And for me, that's pretty comfortable. I really like this detail. Red lights for my nightlight. That's awesome. I can read my book and not bother anybody else. Inside this panel is a really well labeled switch setup. And I like that they do pictures plus words. I feel like I'm learning Italian now with the translation. We don't normally get to see any of our test boats out of the water, but here she is, and it's a great opportunity to talk about the styling of this bow. They've made some really epic choices. They've added these extra lines that create visually these curves and flares that make this boat so much more special to the eye. And then it's integrated into the chines that run the length of the entire hull and will make a big difference when we talk about performance later on. Look at it, this curve here that's then repeated higher up. It's serving a couple purposes. One, it looks gorgeous, and two, it's giving you just a little extra space on the other side. If you're gonna have something that's as cool as this outboard, you need a serious jack plate and setup to connect it to this boat so that you're taking full advantage of the power. And they've done a beautiful job setting that up here. Mercury came out with the 450R. R for racing. And it's because they really dialed in power to weight ratio so that you could get even more thrust out of less weight. ×2 means a big difference in terms of how much oomph you can get out of this power. They've also added these hatches that make it so that when you flip your engine up at the end of the day, it fits in nicely in this pocket. And you can tell the quality of work throughout the boat just from this hatch. They gave me a ram for this lift up so that when I tilt the engine up, it's ready. They fully painted the underside of this, and they gave me these nice soft rubber stoppers to help on making sure that my boat stays in good condition for a long time. They've also put the gasoline fuel fill in this compartment, which means any spillage won't be staining your decks. It can just be mopped up right here. It's a quality of work that I really appreciate.
Let's take a look in the mechanical room. So here we are in the mechanical room. Now there's just a little over 3 feet of headroom, so it's not very big, but there's not that many systems down here that you have to worry about either. Here behind us is the housing for the fuel tank. Now this is gasoline, given the 450Rs are gasoline powered. Several systems here, the controllers for the 2 outboards, as well as the steering pumps. In the center we have a hydraulic pump. Outboard we have a Kohler 6 kilowatt generator. Forward we've got AC and DC distribution panels. We also have the tank, which is diesel for the generator. Outboard we've got a holding tank and the water tank, both on the port side.
To really take advantage of these outboards and get the maximum performance out of them, They have hydraulic jack plates, which literally will adjust the height of the outboards in the water. What's really cool is that it's set up to automatically do that for you on this boat based on your speed. And when I'm taking big bank turns, it does it for me independently on each engine so that I can really just eat these turns. It's so cool, I want it. You see how tight this turn is? And we are at planing. This is awesome. Look at those little circles.
The Solaris Power 40 open outboard has a length overall of 39 feet 3 inches. She has a beam of 12 feet 6 inches with a draft of 2 feet 4 inches. Her empty displacement is 18,146 pounds. The fuel capacity is 265 US gallons, and the water capacity is 44 US gallons.
Captain Boomies, you're all smiles. Why don't you tell us your take on our test of the Solaris Power 40 outboard today?
I had so much fun spinning this boat in tight circles, roiling up the Long Island Sound the way I did, making sure that we were able to find some kind of chop to hit, even though it was our own wake, so that I could test this boat in the way I wanted to test it. It felt so good. And it made me remember how the shape of this bow creates a very dry and stable boat.
Let's take a look at the numbers for the Solaris Power 40 outboard. We tested today in western Long Island Sound. It's a beautiful day, just a few clouds in the sky. Seas were probably less than 1 foot as we only had 8 to 12 knots of breeze. The top speed of the 40 outboard was 38.1 knots, burning 82 gallons per hour. In hole shots, we were able to get to that maximum speed in about 23 seconds.
Average cruise speed was 25.8 knots, where she burned 46.6 gallons per hour.
That gave us a range of 130 nautical miles with a 10% fuel reserve. And the boat got on plane just over 20 knots. The thing I found interesting was once you were on plane, you could actually pull the boat back to around 17 knots and it would remain on plane. That's those 450Rs doing the work. So we're here just off the dock. I just went into skyhook mode, which is a really nice feature while your crew gets lines and fenders out and ready. Now, what I don't recommend is that you walk away from the helm when you're in skyhook mode. It's still your responsibility to make sure you're in control of the vessel at all times. The other thing you need to always check and make sure is that there's not a boat directly behind you when you go into skyhook mode. More than once I've seen a skipper go into skyhook mode, not realize that there's a boat right behind them, and all of a sudden you could have an issue. Okay, we're getting ready to go into the dock now, so I'm going to come out of skyhook mode. And when you pull the throttles back to neutral on these Mercury DTS, it automatically goes into joystick mode. And so I'll use joystick mode to operate down the channel here as we get up towards the dock and then to actually dock the boat. If you want to go out of joystick mode, all you have to do is pop the throttles into forward, and now you're back to using the dual throttles as opposed to the joystick. Now, one thing that I like about this boat is the outboard engines do have some space in between them. So by just engaging one throttle, you actually create a fair amount of yaw rotating the boat like you'd like. Now we're up fairly close to the dock now, so I'm going to switch and start using joystick mode. Rotating the joystick to rotate the boat to port. Always making sure I notice where my stern is. Boats turn around their center point for the most part, so you always want to watch your stern just as much as you're watching your bow. There's a saying among captains that slow is pro. I try to come into a dock no faster than I'd be willing to hit it.
That was our review and test of the Solaris Power 40 outboard.
If you're looking for a day boat that can accommodate 4 berths and comes with the type of Italian design that this one holds, it's at least very appealing to my eye, combined with some impressive performance powered by dual 450R Mercuries, this boat should be one that you take a look at.
And she's super fun to run.
For Boat Test, I'm Captain Gregg.
I'm Captain Boomies,
Reminding you, life is better on a boat.